Okay, so we are on page 212. Correct?
You're not putting your phone on?
Nobody calls
Push
in.
calls into the video line now.
Yeah.
Okay, so you...
Oh, wait a second. I left my phone at home anyway. Yeah, okay. So we discussed, we are in general talking about the difference between shefa and oir. And the first thing that we got into is the shefa. The reason is obvious, because shefa is something which is much closer to our experience. The difference between the two in principle is what type of presence is being transmitted to the recipient.
Difference between shefa and
Oir.
oil.
And we said that in shefa, a substantive presence of the mashpia is given over to the recipient.
What would be the best translation for shefa?
Shefa means bestowed. Bestowed. Okay. In principle, if I can put it in very simple terms like this, there's two ways that one can be mashpia or be influential upon a recipient. Very simple illustration. One is, you show me something, and what you show him is attractive to the sight, and becomes curious about it, and he goes after it, and once you get it. In that case, getting it is entirely in his own process. He gets it on his own. You only enticed him to go and try and get it. Then there's another way of a mashpia. You actually give him the substance itself that you want him to have. In principle, there's a difference between oil and shefa, as we're going to see soon. But in terms of oil, but the shefa we already discussed. In shefa, something of substance from the mashpia is being transmitted to the makabel. The model that we use for that, as in to illustrate, is Hashpot HaSeichel, where the mashpia gives seichel to the makabel. This seichel that he's giving him is an aspect of his own seichel. It's not just a tease. I'll show you something a little bit, and you go and get it on. He gives him the whole thing. That's why seichel. He gives him also the seichel harav. Now we come to oir, on page Kuflamedwaman on top. Ois nun hey. However, inyan ha'oir hu, the principle of oir. Again, oir is also a method of transmission, of influence. But it's a completely different method. And it is shezehu rag ha'or levat. That what he's giving is exclusively a ha'or. By shefa, we also said that shefa is, when you give him the seichel, it's ha'or as a seichel. What we explained, he gives him ha'or as a seichel, but he gives him the etzen, the mitzias of the ha'or.
The mahus of the order.
The mahus of the ha'or. So he's giving him a real thing that he can work with. Whereas in oir, he only gives him a ha'or. Ha'ora means, as I said, it's almost like only a tease, a an arousal for him to be interested, but it doesn't give him anything of substance. Shein boy min ho'etzem, the ha'ora which does not contain of the etzem anything. All right, let's see if we can make out the following. Ukmoi, as for example, oil v'ziv hashemesh, the oil and the ziv of the shemesh. Maybe eventually we'll translate the difference of the oil and ziv, but for the time being, it's the same thing. The reflection of the shemesh. Harei, so there behold, ein etzem hashemesh mispashit lehoyir. The shemesh itself, the oil receive hashemesh it spreads out across the entire universe. But the etzem hashemesh is not mispashit. The etzem hashemesh does not spread out, go out of itself, lehoyir, to illuminate. The shemesh stays in itself. Kiyim, only. Harose levad, only the ha'ora of the shemesh. How is the oir a ha'ora of the shemesh? So this, particularly in our day, with all our exposures, needs to be explained. Because in the physical world, studying this from the physical and the external and the secular approach, the ha'ora, the light of the shemesh, is heat or some kind of a presence. And then it translates and becomes light because it hits an object and so forth. But we have a different approach over here. We are saying that the shemesh per se is the luminary. It's not only a distant source for light. It creates something that becomes light. It's called moir. Moir means not the source of energy, but moir means illuminary, illuminator. This light, the light element, in Mitzvah Hashem we will discuss it. This is a very rich and deep opinion. Especially, as I said, in contrast to the way it is understood in the world. So, Oy V'ziv HaShemesh. I'm going back inside. The second line. Harei, so there behold, ein etzem hashemesh mispashit lohoir. The etzem hashemesh, the essence of the shemesh, the tangible part of the shemesh, does not spread forth lohoir to illuminate. Although this is its function to illuminate, but it does not illuminate by itself, going out of itself and into the world and mispashit and illuminating. What then? How then does it illuminate? Ki'im, rather only haros levad. The ha'ora of the shemesh. So let's understand the word ha'ora for a moment. Just like when we spoke before by Seichel. We said that in Seichel, the Rav transmits to the Talmid the ha'ora of the Seichel. And what does the ha'ora of the Seichel mean? Seichel is something that you understand. By Rav there is the substance of the Seichel, the source, the mahus, and he's giving to the Talmid also a Seichel. But it gives him only the ha'ora of that seichel, the understandable part of it, not the source, not the mahus. But what is he giving him? That which is called seichel, not something that will tease him so that he will create seichel by himself. He gives him seichel. So this seichel that the Rav gives to the Talmid is a ha'ora, is an offshoot and a reflection of the seichel as it is by him. In other words, he understands and he's giving the Talmud something to understand. And what is the source of this understanding and him to the Talmud? Exactly the same that is given to the Talmud. Understanding seichel. Similarly, when you say that the shemesh gives a ha'ora, it means that the shemesh in its essence, in principle, is a luminary, is a light to illuminate. It's not energy, it's not heat. Its essence is light that illuminates. This in that shemesh is light that illuminates. There are these two levels in this. There's the etzem hashemesh, and there is the ha'or of the shemesh. The etzem hashemesh, again, we have a big challenge over here. Etzem hashemesh is not the way it is being translated in the world that it's heat. Etzem hashemesh is light, brilliance. Of this brilliance of the shemesh is given off a ha'ora, a reflection of that brilliance that goes into the world and illumines the world. But the brilliance as it is in the shemesh itself stays in the shemesh. That does not spread forth from the shemesh. So again, we have cautioned ourselves to remember, we are presenting the whole phenomenon of the shemesh in a totally different light, totally different translation than we are accustomed to in the secular world.
Can I ask something?
Just 1 second, please. We are accustomed to think of the shemesh as a physical substance, fire. The fact that it illuminates is secondary, which is what the shemesh is about. Almost as an inadvertent effect. But the Torah says that the shemesh was created as a luminary, a hoyer, a moyer. A moyer means it's a luminary that gives off, that brings light.
Why would a fire not be a luminary?
To me,
Why would a fire not also be a luminary?
it may be also a luminary, but what is its essence? The luminary aspect, as it's understood and from the secular perspective, is a secondary offshoot of it. This is not its essence.
Well, but in this world, for anything to have an attribute, it has to have a somethingness. So here we're giving an attribute with no thing. You can do it, but it's not. It's an exception to everything else in the world.
No, it's not.
Here's a rose and it's red. You can't just have redness. You can have a red rose. Here's
No. This is confusing the issue. The light element in the world, the light element, the luminary element, is a secondary result. When the essence, the mehus, the tangibility of the heat of the sun hits light, hits air, hits an object, it translates in light. It makes it visible.
that's a worldly view.
What? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. That's right. It's not. Shemesh doesn't give light. Shemesh gives energy. This energy, when it is contrasted, when it's hit by it hits a physical object, translates in light, which means that you'll be able to see the light, the object.
Okay.
But Inyan is not light. Inyan is energy. But we are saying, and the only way to understand the following, what we're going to be discussing here, is to understand it from the Torah perspective. The Torah says that the psalm was created as a luminary.
Okay, so it is an exception. In all the other worldly creations, they have some kind of material manifestation, and they have an attribute. So that something is just a luminary is not a worldly.
My dear friend, wrong. The earth produces produce. How does it produce produce? By secular definition. And how does it produce person by Torah definition?
We don't deny it has a weight and a mass. Here by the sun we deny.
No, but that's the weight of the mass is not created. It's
that's fine.
It's an intangible
yes,
thing.
Yes, but Torah doesn't say the earth is not a physical.
The sun. The Torah doesn't say that. I didn't say the sun is not a physical thing.
Oh, okay.
But what is the principle of the creation of the sun?
Okay, so it is physical, but its principle is some kind of luminary quality.
That's right. Sure, it has. The physical is what brings it, but what is its essence is luminary. What is the essence of the earth? Koi hatzemeach. Koi hatzemeach. Is that how you understand it in the physical world? All kinds of different. What do you call it? Microbe elements in the earth that result in growth. And the growth element actually is the effect of splitting up a kernel and so forth. Whereas a P Torah, the kernel is only to arouse from the earth the Koi HaTzimeach. And the Koi HaTzimeach is what produces the particular plant. The particular
silence that.
What? The other way. Let me some letters. Give me a hand.
Yeah.
The particular.
Really noise bothers me.
Okay, it's okay. I can hear you, so I can. How noisy can it be? It's protesting that's a low battery. That's what it is. It says, you better watch out. I'm going to go out soon. Koi HaTzemeach is an intangible thing. Although it is the earth that contains it. But what is the power of tzmicha is not from the earth, from the tangible part of the earth. It is a Koi HaTzemeach, Koi HaLeki. I want to demonstrate this from halachic perspective. Very important. It's very challenging, but to understand Torah, to understand Chassidus, we have to understand it. We have to bring out this understanding in ourselves. there's a din. You can plant a seed in a piece of pottery. You know, it's called in a plant what do you call it? In a pot. In a pot. There's a difference in halach whether this pot has an opening on the bottom so that it actually faces the earth, or it has no opening in the bottom. It can grow without an opening or with an opening, because it has earth in there. It can grow from this earth. When it has an opening, it has a completely different halach. For example, if the pot is standing there and something is growing and has a hole, and if you move it, you're over on uprooting a plant from its growth source, like tearing something off. And if it's closed, then you're not over, because since that it has an opening, it draws its strength of growth, not from its earth, but from the earth, from the source of the earth. When you move it, you're disturbing that connection. So this demonstrated it even on the most physical level that we experience on a daily basis. The Oyer HaShemesh now will be able to translate that in the way it is in Oyer HaShemesh. There's a physical, tangible part of the Shemesh, no question about it. But this tangible part of the Shemesh is not what illuminates the earth. Not even something that is produced by it. It's called the ha'ora, an oir, an intangible part of this presence that illuminates the earth. Because illumination is not the result of an energy hitting an object. Illumination is a creation from God called light. As we have learned and discussed many times, it says in the Torah, on the first day of creation, and this is one of the big challenges that the world stands up on its head. The Torah says in the first day of creation, it was dark. God said, let there be light, and there was light. And the world stands up on its head and says, what kind of light was it? There was no luminary. The luminary first came 4 days later. That was enough for them to disprove the Torah. Rahman al-Islam. And the reason is very simple, because their reach of understanding is into the physical, substantive presence. The conceptual understanding doesn't exist by them. Because everything is created from a physical top, bottom up. A godly creation, they don't know what that means. I once listened. I think I mentioned it one time. I was driving and I was listening to NPR, National Public Radio, which is supposed to be an intellectual station. And there was a whole discussion about the origin of the world. And they were talking from an evolutionary perspective. So someone said, how about we say it's a creation, it's a divine creation. It took them not more than 15 seconds to cancel that out. No, we cannot accept that. That's not intelligent to say. Period. It's not intelligent to say, because your intelligence is world-based. It's not real intelligence, not divine intelligence. In the Torah it says, "Vayem Elokim mihi oir b'hi oir." Oir, by Torah definition, is not energy. Oir is a distinct creation from God. Just as life itself. Again, we differ greatly in definition of light, the way the secular world interprets life. Some kind of molecules and this and one molecule here and the other molecule and going around. So life is a divine gift. It's a divine presence, a neshama. They also speak of a soul, but that's just a conceptual thing. A reference, a means of reference. We do not subscribe to that wisdom, world of wisdom. We subscribe to the world of wisdom that we are taught from the Torah, that comes from the neshama, that comes from God Himself. And we struggle under the circumstances of the worldly effect, of world pressure, to understand and to actually focus on and have a vivid and a clear view of what that is. And it is, just as in a nutshell, just as the light of the sun is plain light, but this light is constantly dependent on the presence of the sun itself. The sun cannot give us light and then depart. The light is there as long as the sun itself is there. And when the sun disappears on the other side of the globe, then it becomes dark. So too, the divine light, like life, for example, it is present only in the presence of the source of this light. It does not exist on its own. Life is not the result of molecules and energy bars or whatever it is and vitamins. Life is a divine presence and neshama. And that divine presence is present only because the divine itself is present. It is God who gives us the life on a constant basis. This is why every day in the morning we say, it is you who restored the neshama into me. Because the neshama is the reflection of yourself. And that's what life is. Having said all that, now we can try to go inside. Again, on top of page Kuf. Yes, Epshema, your turn. Go ahead, please.
It became clear, but I still am not. I don't understand it well.
Okay, join the crowd. Join the crowd. You're not so clear. Okay, you're a partner in that. I'm your partner in this.
Well, it was explained that the sun is light, is atom for itself is light, and that doesn't come on the outside. Its atom is light. So the difficulty I have is if it for itself it doesn't need light. Light is for the outside.
No, it does not. It does not need light. True. Because the reason it doesn't need light because it is the essence of light. It's an etzem behiri. It's called. It's an etzem, a bright etzem, a brilliant etzem.
So this is my difficulty. Why do I need Behidi for myself?
Doesn't need it. This is what it is.
Okay. That's okay.
The oil that illuminates the world is called a ha'ora lavad. Is only a ha'ora of what? Of the source of light. She'ein boy min ha'etzem, which does not have anything of the etzem itself. As for example, okay, the example is supposed to make it tangible to us, and this is the whole difficulty we had to explain, clear. But nevertheless, this is the example. Oil v'ziv hashemesh, the light and the shine of the shemesh, of the sun. Harei, we behold, ein etzem hashemesh mispashet l'hoyer. The essence of the shemesh does not spread out to illuminate. Although light, the illumination, is an aspect of sun, but the essence of the sun, which is the essence of this light, does not spread out. Kiim, what then? How then does the sun illuminate the world? It has to spread out from the sun, because what spreads out is ha'arosi levad, the ha'ora of the essence of the sun. The ha'ora of the essence of the sun, the ha'ora of the essence of light, this is what spreads forth into the world. So here, as we already pointed out, what the Rebbe is explaining to us is totally different than our worldly perception. And the Rebbe is presenting it the way it is, and it is incumbent upon us to find the means in our own seichel to relate to the yin the way the Rebbe explains it. How do we find that means in our seichel? Our seichel is a physical seichel. Not true. Our seichel is a neshama seichel. Our seichel is also only a ha'ora. As we just finished discussing in great length. Our seichel is rooted in the truth of the neshama itself. We understand because we have an inkling, exposure to a higher truth. So this seichel is capable of understanding this inyan that Rabbi explains. That there is such thing as light, which is an intangible inyan. It's a divine creation. And this divine creation never becomes physical in the simple sense, or worldly sense. It's an intangible, even as light. And this light is rooted in the sun, and the sun is what produces this light. This light comes forth from the sun, but there is not a piece of the sun that is severed from the sun and brought into the world. It's only a ha'ora of the reality of what sun is. Sun is, by definition, by Torah definition, is light, the essence of light. Here again we are faced with the challenge to understand the term essence, etzem. Etzem is not a worldly presence. In the world, as we all know, everything is a composite of many details. Even a human being is a composite. A human being has all kinds of internal limbs that digest food and create energy and so forth. Yet we say, no, a human being is an essential creature as a human being. A complete entity called a human being has been created as such. It didn't develop by bringing out certain qualities that he had stored internally. A human being is a human being through and through. When a human being acts like an animal, we don't say he's acting only partially what he is. He's not acting like a human being. For example, human being has to eat. In this case, he's on par with the animal. But if a human being eats straight off the ground, by putting his mouth to the ground and eating from there, so we say he's still doing a human function, but only a reduced level of human function. No, it's not a human function.